Good day to you one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Guess what? We're at 300,000 subscribers, actually a little bit more than that now, but because it's comments day, I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you so much, guys. Can't believe we've made it to yet another milestone. This thing is trundling along just right nice it is, and it's so brilliant when I'm walking around town in whichever country I happen to be in and people are coming up to me and singing the fucking theme tune. Can you believe that? Justin Hawkins Rides Again. They don't do it in that sort of East End Cockney urchin style like in Oliver Twist, but they probably ought to. Right. Enough of this vaudevillian nonsense. Let's crack on. Dan Killen says, at what point do you think a person should stop trying to find commercial success of music and just accept it as a hobby? I think you should stop trying to create music for commerce. In the very first instance, the minute you decide to pick up a guitar, it should only be because of love and the joy of actually playing the guitar. And I think it's just should be fun, and if it makes money, then that's a bonus. You know, that's how it should be. Otherwise, you end up with a load of. That's what pop music is. Pop music is people who listen to the current crop of silty, sewagey porridge music. I'm going to call it from now on. The gruel, the slop that is just dolloped on our plates as modern sort of folk that have to walk around with ambient noise coming from radios on building sites and in cars. That they serve you is a direct result of cynical people listening to other things that are popular and creating the same thing again, but with a slightly different lyric, the same chords, the same melodic devices, the same structure. Nothing deviates whatsoever from a blueprint that has basically evolved slowly and insipidly since, I don't know, probably the late 60s, I suppose. And it has got worse and worse, and that's what will happen. You know, it's like, take shit music, adds the influence of some other recent music that's also shit, it's going to get shitter. That isn't old man staring at a cloud. That's mathematics and probability and music. That's actually what happens. So whilst it feels like there's more and more shit, it's the same amount of shit. It's just that it's worse shit than it was before. It's not you getting old, it's music becoming shitter. Listen to the radio and listen to what's in the charts. It's shitter than it was before, I promise you. That's I don't think that can even be considered an opinion anymore. That's just a fact. What was I saying? And the people that are responsible for it getting shitter are the people who have cynically decided to contribute or rather subtract from culture as a whole. And just wants, I mean, because there is a good way to, you can make money if you just stick with the same chords, write a song a day, and send it around. Eventually, it is a numbers game. You'll come up with a song that's acceptable, or sounds catchy, has a superficial charm to it, and you'll make some money. But will you contribute anything that moves a discerning music enthusiast, someone like myself? Probably not, because it's going to be. We all know it. Come on, guys. I'm a little bit tired today, but that's the reality. Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate your comment. Hammy J. This might be a silly question, but why don't bands / performers distribute their own tickets and cut out the middleman? I don't think that is a silly question. I think that's just like, why is that? A lot of the stuff in the music trade is just the way it's always been. Like some people used to ask the question, how come like a band has a booking agent that is for Europe, Australia, Africa, Asia, all these, the same agent plots tours and deals with promoters in all these places, except for America, and you always have to have a different agent for America. And now the idea that a booking agent who has like years and years of experience of booking tours in Europe not being able to phone up a venue in USA and say, have you got any availability for November? Yeah, the 4th, okay, we'll take it. I mean, even I could do that, but the reality is that it's just the way it's always been. And I think a lot of the music trade is like that. It's just the way it's always been. But it doesn't make any sense. But it's just the way it's always been. But how come we can't? Because it's always been the other way, and that's just the way it's always been. That's what it's like in the music trade. I mean, some people call it the old boys network, but it isn't just about the gender of the people that like to keep the status quo. It's actually just the way it's always been. Thanks for your question, Hammy. I'm sorry I can't help you. But it's just the way it's always been. Lucius Titius says, "Hi, love your channel, but like some radio was in the good old days." Fair enough. Oh, love your singing, by the way. Did you ever had vocal lessons? And would you recommend having a few hours to someone like me? Me, who added mediocre vocals to his mediocre guitar playing and is way too lazy to try something else, but maybe improve his voice. Because you can't practice guitar while standing in the shower. That's true. Oh, I never thought of that, actually. It's a good expression. I think I would recommend, you'll know if it's worth pursuing. I think if you can naturally hit a note, you know, it doesn't matter which one it is. I think find one that's in your range, sing something and try to match something that you're playing on the guitar, for example. And if you can sing in tune, I mean, that's all you need to do, really. And then go and get some guidance from a vocal instructor, and then they'll give you some tips about how to maintain your voice. But I think really, for me, I always feel like unless you're tone deaf or something, it's always worth it. It really is. Well, I didn't have any vocal lessons or anything until I was already in the darkness, and like we'd had the first record out, and I feel like I only did it when I had a problem. You know, I had some sort of voice problems or something, and then I'd have somebody come in and show me how to warm up and protect it, and then after I had my vocal procedure, I met a lovely lady called Barbara Bohi, who's an awesome singer, like a really fantastic, like makes your eyes widen when you hear her sing. If you have the privilege of being in the same room as her when she does it, it's like, wow. And she showed me some brilliant tricks and techniques to actually sort of have my voice resonate from different parts of the soundboard at the back of my neck, and she's really excellent, and like the best vocal teacher I've ever had. And as I say, I've only had them when I've had problems, but she was brilliant, absolutely great. Reed Jorgensen says, "I would have preferred listening to a recap of your Thundergong event experience. Welcome back." Oh, cool. Well, here we go. I flew to Kansas City with Brendan Hunt and Jason Sudeikis and Dan Hawkins from The Darkness, and some of the other sort of people who write and produce and work on the show Ted Lasso. We all went together. We had a rehearsal on the Friday after we got there, practice a few Darkness songs and a cover of With a Little Help from my friends, but this, it's the Joe Cocker version of it, which, to be honest, as a Beatles enthusiast, I was saying to my friend the other day, I've never really liked that that version of it, and when the sound check happened, it kind of strengthened my resolve and made me like it even less. But then on the night, it was just it was a brilliant moment, and it was lovely, and it was to hear Winona Judd singing it. Her voice is unbelievable. It was so cool. Anyway, the Thundergong was a great event. It was just full of brilliant comedians and brilliant musicians, and sometimes there were comedians and musicians. I got to know some people who I've admired for a long time. There was a really surreal moment when I was just looking into Will Forte's face, and he was just talking to me like we were old friends. That's, I'm sure one day we will be old friends, but I've just been this sort of one of these first conversations I'd had with somebody that I'm a huge fan of, and it's just those things. It wasn't like I wasn't like, oh, starstruck like that, but I did have to say to him, this is really surreal for me, because he's just a person that I've admired for a long time. And then when you see them dead on and they're looking at you, it is weird. Maybe that is what being starstruck is, actually. On reflection, just sounds like that, doesn't it? Anyway, Reed, thanks for your comment. Yeah, it was great. I mean, and then after the day after the show, we all flew back together. I don't know. It's one of those weekends that I'll never forget. It was just brilliant. And of course, we raised 600,000. I was going to say Swiss francs then, but so $600,000 for Steps of Faith, which is the charity that provides prosthetic limbs to amputees, and it's just an awesome cause. And some of the people that have benefited from that charity were there at the show, so you really had a direct. You could really feel how important it was, and just it was a great thing to be involved in, and I was delighted to have been invited. And I'm really glad we went there and did it. It was great. Bill Jefferson IV says, "Cheers, old boy. Just curious, as a naturally gifted singer, is it also easy for you to harmonise with others, or is that different than singing yourself?" Sorry, I'm not a singer, and I've often wondered this. Don't worry, Billy. No need to apologise, obviously. I think, when somebody's doing a melody and the key, like they might go, la. I might go, la do 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 do. And it would have that effect overall. I know how to do those and find the sort of the third and the fifth over whatever it is that somebody's singing. If I know the key, and usually you can find the key, and you don't even need to know what the key's called. It just, you can feel it. I think it gets easier with a bit of experience, and it's always a thrill to harmonise with somebody. I think, especially in real life, I just love doing it. But I think for a more complicated vocal arrangement, something that you might see on a Beach Boys record or something, that really does take a bit of study. So it doesn't matter how sort of gifted and natural it comes to you, that you just kind of need to know your stuff a little bit, and that'll take a little bit of research and a little bit of education probably to get you to that level. But I think harmonising in itself that's not too bad for me. I quite enjoyed that. Thanks for your question. I often harmonise with myself, and it's not a euphemistic way of saying that. It's not that. No, I mean in the studio, obviously. Phil Flynn says, "I love your channel. What's your favourite riff you have written? And your brother, what's his?" So many questions. Those are 2 questions. Phil, I'm happy to say, what's my favourite riff? I wrote this one. Right. Or did I write this one? Yeah. Like that one. Favourite one ever wrote? Well, what's my accountant's favourite one? I don't know, there's loads of riffs in the world. Just... Sorry, I'm just fiddling around now. Anyway, brother's favourite riff? I reckon the best riff he wrote was... the Black Shuck one, that was brilliant. Mine is this. Just because it just follows itself around, it's really easy to play. That's actually how I came up with it. Just bled out my fingers. It's lovely when it happens like that. What was that? Thanks for your comment, Phil. I want to say a super thanks to Christy T, John S3, Thomas Ruffley, Vernon Norris, Aaron Masterson, Joe Pike, Periubian, Mika Lako, Ein Yen 1, Tom Kateri, Tim Von Swine, Strange Device, Lewis Silver, Truffle Huffer, John Ellery, Karina Thomas, Dustin Beasley, Emily Baker, Lucius Titius, Jared Lewis, Chris Johnson, Eat Plant, Ollie the Wiseman, Nin Stardust, Keith Pratt, Tom Martin, Joe Edgett, Jason Lizowski, Richard Keelty, Cecilia Stansell, Just Jean, Steve Roberts, Dean L, Kev Burton, Kenny Bob Gibson, Wendy Costello, AC Bungle, Thomas McLean, Kathy Pashak and Johnny Random 100 for all the super thanks that you've donated. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say, really. Thank you so much. Don't forget to use the comment section. I'll always try and react to everything honestly. And once again, thank you for getting us up to 300,000 subscribers. It's really amazing. Feels brilliant. And it's all because of you guys. I mean, literally, it's because of you guys. So thanks a lot. Justin Hawkins rides again. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and watch one of these 2 videos. You won't regret it. Or if you do, I apologise. No, you won't. You're going to have a great time. Nice one. See you on the ice, guys. Adieu!